What would you do if you only had $500 and needed to build a business that actually paid the bills?
When we started, that's all we had. No guidance, no shop. Just a credit card we probably shouldn't have had.
We made every mistake in the book, bought the wrong tools, and undercharged every single job. We chased cash instead of building a real system. We lost time, energy, and way more than $500 trying to figure it out.
So in this video, we're walking you through exactly what we do if we had to start all over. What to buy, how to set up, and how to actually get your first customer.
And for the people that don't know us, my name is Alexis.
And I'm Juan, and we started our automotive film business back in 2019, and today it's doing over $4 million a year in sales. This year, we're on track for $5 million.
But it all started with $500 and no idea what we were doing.
If you're at the starting line right now, we made this just for you.
So before we even dive into any tools or equipment, we need to understand that window tinting is a skill-based business. This means that the customer only really cares about the finished result.
For example, as you do your business, your reputation is dictated by how well you service and you treat the customer and how well you install it. So throughout time, if you do a really good job, just throughout time, your reputation goes up. If for an extended period of time you start doing bad, your reputation goes down. Extremely important.
Now, a common question that we get often is how long is it gonna take for someone to acquire the skill?
It honestly depends on you. I could spend in a day 16, 18, 20 hours a day, and I will learn that skill a lot faster in a few days to maybe a week than someone that's spending 1 hour a day and takes weeks to a month. So it really does depend on you and how much time and effort you're willing to put into it.
Yeah, so going into that, now in this video, we won't be teaching you the skill because in and of itself, it's a whole course if we were to do a video, a couple of hours. So in this video, it's just gonna be mainly how to start a window tinting business. If we're not gonna be teaching you the skill or the 3 most common ways that people can learn the skill.
The first way to learn the skill is by watching it on YouTube. You won't pay out of pocket in dollars, but you do pay with your time. You'll spend hours looking for the right video if you don't know what to even look for.
The second route is by taking an online course. You'll find that most courses cost anywhere from $500 to $1,000 plus. It's a cost-effective way to start, but you still have to pay to learn. You won't be getting immediate feedback. So if you're a person that likes that hands-on training and feedback, I wouldn't recommend for you to go this route.
The third option is to take an in-shop training. This means paying an established window tint shop $1,000 to $3,000 to learn the skill. You'll have an instructor guiding you every step of the way and giving you real-time feedback, but you still have to spend $3,000 on the training.
So my personal opinion, and again, this is my personal opinion, is that you can still learn how to window tint through videos. So if you're on a budget, I would highly recommend you to go the YouTube route. So just go to YouTube, search how to window tint a car, and you'll find good resources. Now, if you're having trouble finding good resources, I would recommend to watch the channel Tint Studio because he actually teaches you how to install window tints.
So as I mentioned, window tinting is a skill-based business. So the faster you master the skill, the easier the business becomes. You'll only need 1 to 2 installs to be confident. You won't need 100 installs. So the goal should be to start now.
But before you can even begin to practice a skill, you need the correct tools to get the job done. To begin window tinting, you really only need a few select tools.
Customers don't care about expensive tools. They don't care the top of the top heat gun. They don't care the best of the best blades, as long as it doesn't cut the glass. They don't really care about the best microfiber towels. All they care about is the job. And so that being said, are the expensive tools worth it? In my opinion, in the early stages, no. As long as you're able to do a good and effective job, the expensive tools don't really matter.
I know that there's some companies that want to sell you a $500 tool when you could get it for like $20 to $50. So all they're doing is trying to sell you, they're trying to make money. So again, if you really want to look at how to start window tinting, all you need is a blade, a squeegee, so a few select tools and you'll get the job done. So don't buy into the hype.
The following list of tools is what you need as a beginner. First, you have your blades. Here's a utility blade and your scraper blade. Pair them with replacements and you're set. Make sure they're stainless steels to reduce the risk of cutting the glass. But you have your main squeegees, but some people prefer a Turbo Max, a hard card to shrink the film, a small squeegee for the hard to reach places, a chisel to remove small imperfections, a shank to help you lift the weather strip, a contour or a triangle for hard to reach places, scrub pads to help you clean the window, a bulldozer for the rear windshield to make cleaning easier. I would recommend one with the scrub pad.
Next, I'll go over the remaining set of tools you're gonna need. First, you have your sponge to create your H pattern. Next are your dryer sheets for your windshields. You have your microfiber towels to be able to clean your car and windows. A heat gun to be able to shrink the film. Next, you're gonna have your glass cleaner. This one, again, it's optional, but it's gonna add that extra touch once the customer receives his car. So if you are gonna get a window cleaner, just make sure it's ammonia free. That way you don't damage the window tints. Next, for your solutions, you're gonna need baby shampoo, distilled water, and your spray. Now for the distilled water, I recommend for you to go that route versus getting water from the sink, because if you go with the sink, you might have a higher chance of getting contaminants. So to prevent any mistakes from coming into your installation, go the distilled route.
Next, you need the film. Here's a quick tip. You don't need to buy the most expensive film to learn the skill. You can actually start just with carbon or dye. Just avoid using the Walmart or Amazon tints.
If we really want to break it down, the total cost of tools is going to come about to $155 plus or minus. Now, if you want to add the extra $70 of practice film, the total is going to come out to $225 plus or minus. If you want to get the tools I mentioned, you could go on Amazon and you could search for window tint toolkit. There you're going to find some options. But if you want to save some time and money, we made our own toolkit made for beginners. We also offer dyed practice film and a free tool guide, all available at shieldmefilms.com. So link will be in the description below. So we can now check off the only tools we're gonna need to start practicing. Remember, you don't need the most expensive tools, and don't buy the tools when you don't need them at the beginner stage.
So now you have to figure out where you'll be operating from. This brings us to the 3 different window tinting models that we know of.
Most beginners think that you need a physical location to start a window tinting business. This is not the case.
So there are 3 options to run your operation from. First one being a shop-based business. What does that mean? That means I go out, I find, whether I work with a realtor or I go on LoopNet, I find a shop, and then I establish my business there. I pay the rent, I pay any other bills that entails that. So that's one. Second, garage-based business. Assuming you have a garage, whether you live in a home or some type of vicinity that has a garage, you could operate from there, assuming that it's permitted. Lastly, mobile, meaning that you don't necessarily have a physical location, but when a customer comes, you're able to, go to their location, whether it be at their work, whether it be at their home, whether it be somewhere else.
Now, we do have a more detailed YouTube video. It's going to be linked up in the cards above. However, we're briefly going to break down some of the pros and cons for each business model. So when it comes to the shop, what are some of the pros that if I were to start a window tinting business and I have a shop, what are some of the pros?
Well, for one, definitely it looks a lot more legitimate. Now, me personally, if I were to go to a shop and they're paying for warehousing, they're paying for employees, they're paying for all these different things, that's a good indicator that doesn't mean that they're making money, meaning that their jobs, their services that they're offering is more likely than not good. It builds that trust in me and I'm more likely to trust them. So that's a positive one. The other one is foot traffic. Now, especially if you're like on a main avenue, I know that one of the ways that a lot of shops that are in the main avenue, they get their customers through there as well. So that's a pretty good sales channel.
So walk-ins, right?
Walk-ins.
One of the other pros is when you're actually working on the film, because I know that you're going to be in a closed environment, so you're going to be less likely to get contamination. You're not going to be working under the sun. You're not going to be working under the rain. So you're going to have a more controlled environment when you're actually installing window tints. At the same time, you're going to have room to scale, because depending on the size of your warehouse, if you get a bigger warehouse, you're going to be able to fit 1 car, 2 car, 3 cars versus maybe not being able to fit in your garage.
In the same way that owning a shop has a lot of pros, the cons to it is the expense, the warehousing, the lease, the bills, the insurance, even the city permits. I know that sometimes they do, for having a business license there, they also charge you maybe annually. That's what we get charged here in the California area. So that's a really big negative. It's the expenses, the overhead.
The next con is that now it's your responsibility. I know that we signed a lease. For us, we signed a 3-year lease, meaning that whether we make money or we don't make money, we're still responsible for the warehouse. So the landlord's not going to care. They're going to hold us accountable. So going into the garage, first, we're going to start with the pros. What are some of the pros of you operating from your garage?
Well, the big pro is that you're already paying for that expense no matter what. So it's not even adding another expense to it. So it's you could say comparatively a little bit of overhead. In addition to that, one of the things that I just thought of as a pro to it is that you could probably, assuming that it's legit and you're able to do it, is you're able to deduct some of that expenses, that garage space, from your taxes, which is a really big positive. So it's, if anything, you might be even saving by having your business operate from your garage, assuming that it's permitted, assuming that, you know, the HOA, the city and everything is compliant and good. You could probably save some money on that.
Yeah. Another one is that you're going to be able to install from the comfort of your home. And by me saying this, I'm not saying that you're going to be wearing Crocs, you're going to be wearing chanclas, you're not going to be wearing a tank top. It means that you don't have to go out and be mobile. You don't have to go to your shop. So some people prefer that, similar to how some people prefer working remote. It's just you're going to have that extra benefit. When it comes to the cons of operating from your garage, what are some of them?
Definitely looks a lot less legit. Going there, it's kind of a little shady. Going to someone's house, it's kind of like, it kind of feels a little bit shady. Even though they might be the best in the world, it does have that sense of just, is this legit? Is this, you know, like, am I being scammed kind of thing?
Yep.
So definitely it kind of does look a little bit less legitimate.
And the second thing is that you're going to be limited to the size of your garage. I know that most garages tend to be 2 cars. Some of them are 1, some of them are more, but if you start getting more clients, it's going to be harder for you to get 1, more customers at the same time. And then 2, if you want to scale with workers, it's going to be a little bit hard.
The last con is the fact that you're going to be telling people to go to your house, meaning that if you suck and you do a terrible job, they know where you live. So definitely that's a big security concern. So at the very least, know that you're doing a good job and do a good job, because they're going to know your address.
So now we're going to go into the last business model, which is mobile, and we're going to start with some of the pros.
One of the pros is that you can charge more. What do I mean by that? You know, you don't have a shop, you don't even have a garage, but you could charge more. Definitely this adds a lot of convenience, especially to the type of customers that you eventually want, which are the higher end. Like even us, we value our time. So if we had to take our car to a shop to get it tinted, it would be kind of a waste of time. But we're definitely willing to pay people more to come to our warehouse and have them install it here.
So it's the same as DoorDash, Uber Eats. Even though it's going to be a little bit expensive, people are willing to pay those prices because it comes to your house. The next thing is that you're going to have little to no overhead. Again, if you already own a car, you just make sure that it's clean at all times. And you're not going to have that expense of maybe having a garage where you're paying utilities. And you're also not going to have that expense of having a lease.
The other one, you're mobile, you have your car. If you brand it, it's essentially you're a walking billboard. So everywhere you go, people are going to see, you know, window tint or something that entails that you do window tinting. At the same time, you doing the window tinting at the location, whether it be at someone's homes, at someone's commercial place, at someone's work, they're going to be seeing your window tint. And then that's also a really good marketing tactic too, where I've seen, at least on YouTube, a lot of people asking, hey, what are you doing? Like, or what are you doing? And so it's kind of like that's how you also get referrals, especially if you're doing it at home where people already have that trust for that neighbor and they see you doing it for that neighbor. They're more likely to trust you just for the mere fact that that neighbor that they trusts you. So definitely it's a great marketing way to get customers and to build a little bit of trust.
Now we're going to go into the cons of owning or operating via mobile. So the first one I could think of is you're going to be exposed to the weather elements. So the good thing, like I mentioned about having a shop or a garage, is that you're going to be in a controlled environment. That's not going to be the case with mobile. You're going to be exposed to the sun, to the wind, which is going to increase the chance of you getting contaminated. And then also, like, sometimes it's going to rain, which is going to suck.
Another one is the wear and tear that you receive on your car. Being mobile, you could get one from, for example, let's say here where you're currently at, but then the next one could be across the city. Then the other one could be back where you were originally at. So it definitely adds a lot of wear and tear to your vehicle. For one, to the mileage, to the just everything. It adds a lot of wear and tear. And at the same time, one of the biggest concerns for me, especially because I use it very, very frequently, is the restrooms. I'm not embarrassed, but I am embarrassed to ask someone to use the restroom. And the fact that you're going like out and in, restrooms is also a big one where you don't have that ease to just go to your restroom. It's you either have to go to a public park, which we have done before, or you have to go to like a food establishment, buy something, and then use the restroom. I definitely wouldn't like letting a stranger in my house, even if they're doing my tent. I would not want that. So definitely the negative big one for me, and I think for a lot of people, is the restrooms.
So now, if you're a beginner, we would recommend someone to start mobile. It's gonna allow you to get started without much cost or time.
Now that we have our business model, the next step to figure out is whether we need to form some type of business structure.
To give you the real answer, yes. We would recommend for you to get an entity and go legit. So before we get started, it's gonna be a quick disclaimer. We're not experts in entity structure and we're not telling you what to do. It's gonna be up to you to figure out what works best for you.
So one of the things that we need to figure out first and foremost is what our goal is. Is our goal to build a big business? Doing it the right way is definitely the way to go if you want to build a big business. You know, you're going to need whether some type of business structure, whether it be an LLC, an S Corp, and, you know, whatever it may be. That's why you talk to, a tax professional or even a tax attorney to be able to guide you through those things to be able to get you there. Or if, let's say, I just want to do it on the side, definitely I don't recommend, just doing it under the table, because somehow, some way, for whatever reason, the IRS is pretty good at finding those kind of things. So at the very least, get a DBA, and then just separate your personal expenses from your business expenses. So definitely have separate accounts, especially if you're just going to do it as a part-time or just on the side. Separate those expenses, because at the same time, you're going to be able to deduct some of the expenses that you accrue for your business. Now, I'm no tax professional, by the way.
The second part to that is it's also going to depend on your budget. So if I have money to spend, then I would go the LLC, S Corp, C Corp route, which in California, to get an LLC, it's $800 every single year, which sucks. Now, if you have a little bit of money, then like we mentioned, go the bare minimum route, which is the DBA. Now, again, since we live in Los Angeles, we tend to pay a lot more for everything. So for example, in the Los Angeles County, the filing fee for a DBA is around $26 to $70, depending on the number of business owners or people that are going to be part of the business. We then have to publish our name in the newspaper. I know we did that with one of our first businesses, where we had to go to the newspaper and tell them that this is going to be our business name, doing business as. We're going to have to do that for 5 consecutive weeks. Now, the publication cost is going to be around $40 to $120, depending on the newspaper and counting. So the total amount to get your DBA is going to be around $70 to $190.
My personal opinion, I wouldn't get it if I'm still practicing on my own car. I would only really get liability insurance if I'm working on a paying customer's car. So shop around for prices. Don't pick the first one that you call. You can expect to pay anywhere from $35 to $100 a month, depending on the coverage and location you get.
The last thing, I know my brother mentioned that earlier, but we're going to put a big emphasis of you getting a business bank account. Not only is it going to make filing taxes a lot easier, you're also going to be able to understand and know your numbers, especially now that we're at a bigger stage. We understand the importance of knowing your numbers, because as a beginner, how am I going to know how much I could spend on tools, how much I could spend on marketing if I don't know my numbers? So just simple way to start, a simple way to track your numbers is by having a separate business account only for business.
So let's take a look at the registration for the DBA, which is anywhere from $70 to $90. So we add our liability insurance, which is anywhere from $35 to $100. This gives us a total of $105 to $290. If we add the cost of the tools, we'll be paying around $330 to $515. This means it will cost us about $500 to start a window tinting business. Now, it will depend on the tools you get, where you live, and what insurance company you decide to work with.
Now, one of the final tips I would recommend, if you have any questions, whether it be your entity structure, what should I do when it comes to insurance or getting my entity or my business bank account started, is for the most part, just go to Google, search, and now we have AI. So go to ChatGPT, ask her questions. Now, don't take ChatGPT's word for word. Actually do some research, but that's going to be a good resource.
If you're serious about starting this window tinting business, this step is the least that you can do. Each person will have different goals and resources, but now you know how to make your business legit. Now we're ready to get our first customer.
If you've been watching this far along, stick around, because in just a few minutes, we're going to break down how to hit 6 figures with only tinting windows. The first customer is the most important, which is going to be yourself. So for example, if you're going to be a personal trainer, the first customer is always going to be you, because people, they're going to look at you like me. If I'm skinny or I'm a little bit on the heavier side, they're gonna be like, how is this guy gonna get me to the goals that I want? Similar in food, if I wanna become a chef, I gotta make really good food before I could serve it to other people. So take that and translate it into window tint. So you first are gonna have to practice on your car, because just like in gym, just like at a restaurant, you're gonna make mistakes. So make those mistakes on your car, not other people's car.
Now that you have your first customer, which is yourself, now how do we go about getting more customers? Well, friends and family are the easiest ones to start with. All you really have to do is just pull out your phone and just reach out to them saying the following. Hey Susie, I just started a window tinting business. I'm offering tint to people's cars, free of charge. Can I tint your car? All I'm asking is an honest review and feedback to help me improve my offer.
Even after you send that text, not everyone is gonna reply. Some people are gonna reply saying no thank you, and then some people are gonna take your offer. But the most important thing you wanna do is let people know that you're window tinting, because before they knew you as a student, they knew you as the college person or working a different job. Now they know that you're starting a window tinting business. Now, the purpose of your friends and family being your second customers is for you to get reviews, because as you gain more experience, you're gonna get more skill and confidence, but strangers are not gonna know that you have the skill. So that's where reviews are gonna come in. For example, if a stranger goes to a restaurant and they only have a 1-star review, that's maybe like 3 or 4, how likely are they gonna go to that restaurant? So we want to have reviews early on in your window tinting business. So that's why it's gonna be important to get reviews.
Another easy way to get more customers is to open a Google My Business account. All you do is just go to Google, type in Google My Business, and you're gonna be able to follow step by step on how to open up that type of account. Now, that account is extremely important, especially if you're location based, because we all use Google Maps. And if you're able to put yourself in the eyes of someone that is looking for that specific service, which is window tint, if you're able to put yourself in their eyesight, they're more likely to click on your account and go to you. Especially if after asking your friends and family for feedback and reviews, they're more likely to go, especially as after that customer looks at your account, they're more likely to go. A very easy way to get more customers.
The last thing is to record all your installations, all your work, and post it on social media. It's free. Now, for this one, you don't have to be the best social media person. It's just post something so new customers see that at least you're gonna be active on social media. At this point, you're gonna have more experience, you're gonna have a track record with reviews to show for it, and you're gonna have paying customers. So if you could do 2 to 3 paying jobs at $200 each, you've already made back your startup cost. Everything after that is profit.
To increase the chance of making our money back with our first few customers, we need to understand how to price our services correctly.
Sure, we can just slap any price to our work or try to undercut our competition. But let me break it down as to why that strategy doesn't work.
Okay, and these are some of the reasons why we shouldn't undercut our prices. For one, you make less money. Money is extremely important, not just for yourself, but to keep your business operating, because you have bills. Well, even if you're just mobile, you still have your car payment, you still have your gas, you still have your insurance. So all that pricing that you got, that's all margin and that's all profit that you're lowering your price in. At the same time, lower prices tend to entail the thinking of lower quality. So if you have $99 tinting, the tendency to think of the customer would be, it's a likely less inferior product, especially for the higher paying customers that tend to spend more money for better quality. They automatically would not be your customer base. And so and we want more of those customers because that's how we make more money. So definitely it's extremely important not to undercut our prices.
So before we tell you how to price your products, the worst case scenario, if you're still having trouble, is call 3 to 5 local shops, see how much they're charging, and then charge minimum the same. Minimum. So that's going to be the easiest way.
Now, if you want to understand your numbers, there's a simple 3 steps pricing formula.
Yeah, and it's going to be very simple. It's not complex.
Extremely simple. So 1, you add up your direct cost, meaning film, labor, gas, whatever it takes to do the job. Let's say that's $100. Next, you add a buffer to the business expenses, such as rent, ads, gear, website. Let's say it's another $50 to the $100. So that's already $150. Now, add your take-home profit. So aim 20 to 30% extra. The point is to make money. So the final price to charge is around $260. Depends on the film and expenses.
So the goal is to price like a business, not a side hustle, because we want to know that once we're working each single job, we're making real profits. Now, some of you might be asking, should I also learn how to do PPF and vinyl wrap to make more money?
Nope.
Yeah, so the simple answer is no. Here's why.
While you're starting your tint business, you'll see some shops offering PPF, vinyl wrap, and other services. At a quick glance, it seems like a common sense that if we offer more products, we make more money. Common sense, right? The more services, the more products, the more money. Common sense, right? But if you try to offer them while you haven't mastered the window tint, you'll struggle to make good money. Similarly, in our business, I know that we had our core business, but then we started offering other products and other services to the point where we sucked at all, to where we didn't do a good job at any, to where they all started suffering. To where if we would have just focused on that one thing, we would have become really good at it, very profitable at it, and very just good, for the lack of a better wording.
What we're actually trying to say is that you can make good money just from window tinting. To show you the money potential you can have with only window tinting, we're gonna break it down and answer the question, how much money can I make?
So how much money can you make? To give you the short answer, you can make anywhere from 6 to 7 figures a year in sales just from tinting.
Now, first, we're gonna break down how you could actually make 6 figures.
So let's say I only do ceramic window tint and charge $400 per car. Pretty reasonable for ceramic. So I work 5 days a week, spending half of the day finding customers and the other half doing one install. That's $400 a day, $2,000 a week, about $8,000 a month. And just like that, $104,000 a year. 6 figures, solo, just yourself.
Yeah, and so we wanna emphasize half of your time is gonna be finding customers, because that's a common question. It's like, well, it's easy to say, but I don't have customers. Yeah, so which is why we're emphasizing that it's gonna be very important to spend half of your time finding customers.
So, but now let's scale it. Let's say I've got 3 full-time installers, each doing 3 jobs a day. That's 9 jobs total times $400 equals $3,600 a day. Run that 5 days a week. That's $18,000 a week, about $72,000 a month, which adds up to $936,000 a year. Now, here's the kicker. Work just 1 extra day a week and make 6 days instead of 5. And you're at $21,600 a week, about $86,400 a month. And boom, just like that, you'll be generating over $1.1 million a year, all without doing a single install yourself.
Now, it's not guaranteed, just like with anything in life, but the potential is there. So now you know exactly how to make 6 to 7 figures a year just from tinting.
Getting to the stage of making money will take time, but all you need is $500 and these steps to start a window tinting business. This was just the blueprint to get started. If you're ready to actually grow a real tinting business, this is the video you should watch next.
And if it's not out yet, watch this video instead.